Check out this. I think it's probably a bit bright. This is the actual sunlight bouncing off the wall on the other side of the laneway. Completely blown out. So I think we probably need to close these doors, don't we, mate? Today, we are here to talk about the no. We're not. You've read the title of this video. Yes, the Z9 is extraordinarily exciting and people are loving it. I am loving mine. I just can't wait to share more of this camera with you. It's just a little bit overwhelming, to be honest. But today, as you know, we are here to talk about this. Yes, indeed, here it is. This is the... to 75 2.8 lens. And of course, it comes in a long line of lenses that sort of fit in this focal range for Nikon, but we will talk further about that. Right now, this video is going to be about an unboxing, a first look, understanding how it feels, what does it look like, what's it made of, and we will go from there. Over the next couple of weeks. I will be running this through its paces. So let's take a look and let's see how it compares with this lens here. This is a legendary lens. It's extraordinarily sharp. It does not let you down. I mean, I love this lens and it is so versatile. But this one here, it's half the price. Let's take a look. Unboxing time. Yes, but we have one of these, which I never use. Yes. Very good. Now, of course, we all know that this is not an S-class lens, but it is much more affordable than the 24 to 70 2.8 S-class lens. Now, this is feeling different. I wonder if that's a recyclable bag or something. Ah, there's the lens. How lovely. Okay, well that's it. This is what we have been waiting for. This is the 28 to 75 2.8. It is a little bit more compact and it's a fair bit lighter. So this kind of makes it really useful if you want to have basically, not quite. Some people will argue that the difference between 28 and 24 is quite a lot. And I suppose it just comes down to your use case. But they are fairly similar lenses, both 2.8. But this one is a little bit smaller in the girth. We can see here. We can see height-wise, they are much the same. And what we will do in the coming weeks is we will test it optically. This lens is outstanding. Well, I don't know yet, and that is what we're going to find out. It seems to have the usual build quality that we would expect from a Z lens. Of course, lots of people want to know, does it have a metal mount? Well, there it is. There's the metal mount. Yes, it does. Some of these casings, I would say that this is a composite. This is also a composite. And so that would make the majority of the exterior composite. But I'm sure the interior is not. And that is a great action right there. Very smooth and provides a reasonable amount of feedback. I don't think that's going to be coming out when you're walking along, and certainly looks like it will not. That's happened to me in the past, not good, ended up breaking a lens that way, damaging a lens. Now, there is not a lot in the way of buttons and displays and so on. We have this one control ring here, and obviously we have the zoom ring. Now, these can be programmed to be, for instance, focus, aperture, ISO, things like that. It's of interest to me that at the beginning of the Z range, these wheels here, they tended to be right at the back of the lens, like an old aperture. But I think over time they've had feedback and they've moved them further from the mount, or at least it appears that that's what's happening. Who knows if that's why? Now, there has been some controversy about, well, what is this lens? Where does it come from? And some have speculated online and said that this lens is the copy of a particular Tamron lens. I have no idea. I've looked at the pictures, I've looked at the articles, and yes, indeed, there does seem to be similarities. And we could talk about, well, why would something like this happen? Well, my very first statement to everybody is, for the last, 2 years, people have said, where's the Sigma and where's the Tamron for Z? Well, if this is true, and I don't know if it's true, I have no idea. Well, here it is. Sure, it's a little bit more expensive, but what we don't know, even if it is somewhat a Tamron, we don't know. Nikon could have changed how this mechanism works, for example, the materials in the mechanism. They also could have changed the coatings on the lenses. And it kind of goes on and on as to all the tweaks that might be different between a native Tamron version and this Z version. So, I just wanted to address that. I don't know. As I said, I have no idea. And yes, there does appear to be some similarities when we look at the construction of the elements and how they are laid out. But I do think there's a lot of things that Nikon can do differently. And I think the number one most important thing that Nikon can do differently is, well, this is a first-party lens. So when it comes to the electronics, when it comes to talking to the lens, these couplings right here, these ones, well, it's first party. So there's no chance that this will ever be incompatible. There's no chance that Nikon doesn't know what the next 2, 3, 5 years looks like, and this lens is ready for that. Third-party lenses, they don't know what the future holds. Well, unless they're sharing, which sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. But we're certainly having some third-party lenses which a firmware update happens and the lens needs to be updated itself. Let's just get all of this in perspective. A lot of people have been asking for these sorts of lenses. They've wanted to be able to get a cheaper Tamron lens that fits roughly the same spot so that they can get cheaper lenses. Well, this may be that, with some Nikon-ness on top of it, thus a little bit of an extra premium. And so you're kind of getting the best of both worlds rather than some other thing. Like, it's really strange to me, this conspiracy theory vibe that's going on, and it's like, well, you know, it might actually be a great lens. It might be at a wonderful price. It might have all the extra Nikon-ness in it, like coatings and the electronics that I was talking about, which means it just sits in a lovely sweet spot between Tamron and S-Class Nikon. That's my take on it, and I am a glass half full guy. That's not marketing FUD, that is actually what could be happening. So think about it. All right, we are on the Z9, on the 28-75 at 75 at 2.8, 1/2000 ISO 100. Lovely, lovely degree of stabilization. That's at full stretch. Yeah, it's brilliantly stabilized on the Z9. That's looking great. Now, what we'll do is we will give it a quick vlog test. Is 28 wide enough? Okay. All right, here we are. Now, I have manual exposure set. So the exposure is probably not going to be correct unless I'm in the sunlight. How's it looking? Is that wide enough with my arm at full tilt? Probably. Thing, isn't it? You've got these two lenses. They're both very similar ranges, 24 and 28 to 70 and 75, and they're both 2.8. So they're both going to give you similar light gathering capabilities and of course similar bokeh. But we don't know because bokeh can vary due to lens design. But I presume it'll be similar. And the more testing I do, we'll be able to decide whether it's similar, different, or better. As I've said in the past, it's rare to me that bokeh is bad, it's just different. Sometimes it's really silky smooth, and sometimes it's a bit busier. But at the end of the day, I quite like lenses being different. It's kind of a cool thing. And as I said at the opening of this video, Nikon have a lot of lenses in this range. Let's talk about some of the other ones that cover this same range or similar range. We have the 24 to 200 variable aperture zoom lens. We have the 24 to 120 f4, and we have the 24 to 70 f4, which we're shooting on over there. Now, all of these lenses cover much the same range. So how do you choose which one to get? Well, I do think they all have their place. They all have different price points. There's quite a mixture of apertures there, some fixed, some variable. So if you don't have any of these lenses, I think you've just got to work out your use case as usual. And use case includes budget, doesn't it? So you might be happy to get, say, the 24 to 200, which just covers everything, but you know, your apertures are not quite as wide, but it's affordable. You're getting a lot of lenses in one lens, plus it's light, it's compact, it's great for travel. So that's that end of the spectrum. And maybe the 24 to 120 sort of sits in the middle. And maybe this one's like, well, you know, I've got all of these other lenses and I really want basically a 28 to 75 or a 24 to 70, but I really want the 2.8. That's what you might say. 2.8 is important to me. I want the extra stops difference between, say, the 24 to 70 f4, which is similarly priced. So you can put yourself together a little matrix of needs and absolutes and non-negotiables, and from there you can decide. I would love to know in the comments below which of these lenses, maybe you have none of them, you're just starting to get into the Z system, which of those 5 lenses would you get? Now, I'll put up a poll as well. Unfortunately, YouTube don't allow you to have multiple answers. You can only have one. So this is for today. Which lens would you buy today for whatever reason? It doesn't matter. It's just interesting to me. I love collecting this data. For example, I just asked recently in this video here about the brand newly released 400 2.8 lens, this stellar lens that I'm personally just so excited about, and I just think it sounds amazing, the technology that's in there. But I was really excited to see with the, I think, something like 1,200 votes. That's a lot of votes. 1,200 votes that have come through so far. It was 13 or 14% of the audience was, yes, I'm going to get one. Really interesting stuff. So let me know, is the 28 to 75 for you? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the poll. All right, well, I look forward to spending the next week or two with this lens, taking it out in the field and running it up against some of these lenses, if not all of them. Well, that's a big ask, doing all of them. Even so, I do have all the ones we've talked about. All right, it's been so good to see you. Thanks for joining me here in the gallery. It's such a beautiful space. I love this space, and we've been here for 8 years. Our 9th year will be starting very, very soon. So I'd love you to visit if you happen to be in Australia or in Melbourne. All right, look after yourselves. Time to open the door again, because we love to get the light in. It just looks great. Not so good for the video, but it's great for the gallery. There we go. All right, well, I will catch you later. Go do some shooting. So I've never been here before, but this is pretty exciting. This is where they load the trucks to go to Tasmania, and you can see a truck coming on over there. Anyway, let's see what we can get with the 50 mils.